So, here we go, Radical Jack Part 3. So many things have happened to me over the last few days. I'm not so disappointed in myself, other than the usual thing that creeps in, which are many things that I get over. And I noticed from the bread, my eyes are like puffed up, and it's like I look like I'd aged 10 years, but it was more to the point that I was my skin was clearing up, the bags under my eyes, things, and I had 3 really bad nights sleep. I had serious acid reflux, from the bit of sugar I'd taken, and the maybe just the unconscious eating. It was unconscious eating, and that was the feeling, and when I be coming to that 1 meal a day, it was very conscious, I didn't allow myself to watch something while I was eating. I was trying to be very aware of the food that I eat, and so there's these 2 extremes here, in relation to what we do, when we eat. And it's great to sit around the table and have conversation and stuff like that, and have a level of joy while you're eating your food. I'm not saying that one needs to be in complete silence, but I do think there's a definite practice there that could be beneficial to us, I would say there's the same as much as that, when you have that opportunity, as there would be sitting around a fantastic 20, 30 people, or 10 people, or 6 people even, around a table where there's joy being shared during that food or eating, Certainly I've had many experiences of eating food when I'm angry, or I've had a problem with something and it doesn't sit very well. So it's not a good idea to eat in those times, So, there's always going to be the constant emphasis here on food in relation to this 88 days, because it's far from over. Coincidentally, it was 55 days from the equinox tomorrow, which, as I said, means there was 33 days gone. When I get halfway, it's 44 days. It's going to be exactly 44 days on either side. If it's 22, it means there's, 66 days over or left. And so this 88 days has become a little bit more of a, mathematically and geometrical. Every time I think about it, it's nuts. And, the way that it lands, and the fact that the 55 days remain and landed on the spring equinox is it's just purely coincidental in many people's views. Possibly, people could get annoyed with me reading into things a little bit too much, but I don't think so for myself, because I'm to a large degree old hat with a lot of this stuff. It just becomes the norm, and a lot of these discoveries were made on the fact that I was intuitively feeling stuff for a long time. I'd be trying to get to the Glastonbury tour, having driven all the way from Ireland with the intention of going there for Beltane, 1st of May. And whatever, my V-dub would break down the whole way, and during the process I'd have stopped smoking, and it might have taken me 2 weeks to get there, and by the time I got there I had 2 weeks under my belt. And I might not have made the 1st of May. I'd have been up the top of the tour for the first sunrise, and it's the 5th of the 5th at 5:55. And there's 5 people standing there, and these things would just happen, and I'd wake up to the realization of somebody say, oh yeah, it's the 5th of the 5th today. And, and it just happened to be a full moon. And so the Beltane suddenly became understood that, okay, I would have been working with the calendar. It's the 1st of May. Everyone says it's the 1st of May. And, often these things, you think you're getting them wrong, and in fact you will be getting them right, because there's something else occurring. There's an inbuilt compass and a magnetism and a pull. I often used to do that in relation to going out, going anywhere, festivals, whatever the case may be. I'd have to get this pull. People constantly ask me, are you going here, are you going there? And I needed to feel the pull. And that's something that happened to me this Paddy's weekend. I wasn't feeling the pull, but I went. And of course, it was one of those classics of where I spoke about it before in relation to what we do. We often go down that rabbit hole in order to prove to ourselves that our intuition was right. Until we get to a stage when, we are completely at one with ourselves, and we don't need proof. there's an element of faith and trust in our ability to know, you know, and there's no belief there. You know, you don't have to believe that you're right or wrong. You don't have to believe in Christ. You don't have to believe in these things. You know, exactly, you know. Someone was trying to correct me in the amount of times I've said you know, and you know, like I should be saying I know. Well, you know, it's so easy for somebody to criticize and judge and you know, in a way about something that I'm also aware of. You know, I'm aware of the fact that I haven't been cursing since the first 2 or 3 days, because I've put a mental note on that. You know, and when I say you know, often I think a lot of it is to do with as you'll have noticed. You know, I'm saying it less and less because I'm getting more and more words out. I'm getting more and more into my body, and I'm getting more and more connected to my mind and my brain and my memory banks in relation to vocabulary and so on. And there's a lot more flow coming, you know, and I'm just beginning. I'm just taking my shoes off, you know, and I'm dealing with my relapses. I'm dealing with the cloud in my head, you know, from the beans not being washed, and so on and so on and so on, you know, withdrawing from tobacco, etc. And you know, it's easy for somebody to criticize, you know, and so I happen to use you know. As I said before, I had a nice take on that once, where I just went, maybe I'm saying to you that you know every time I confirm that I say you know, and maybe in my interpretation and perception and definition of you know what it is I'm saying, it's like I am actually saying I know, even though I'm saying you know. So I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to that I that is me, you know, or that me that is I, rather, you know, because me can change name. Me can be like Catholic. Me can be Muslim one day and Catholic the next, you know. That most definitely changes due to what it is. If I feel like changing my name, I could change my name, you know. But there is the I, and there's no doubt about that, you know, that doesn't change. There's something in us, right? The soul, the spirit, or whatever, that never changes, you know.